Welcome back, dear and passionate whispers of Turkish Stars family. What a joy to have you here again, in this cozy corner where fame meets heartbeats and where the spotlight sometimes reveals more than it hides. Tonight, I'm inviting you to hold your breath and open your heart, because the story we bring doesn't glow just with trophies and glitter, it shimmers with a revelation that shook even the most guarded souls. Our journey takes us to Riyadh, a city radiant with celebration, where a glamorous ceremony became the stage for something far deeper. We are not here to count jewels or measure applause. We are here to follow the quiet, undeniable current of emotion that surged between Akin and Ebru. And yes, be ready for goosebumps. Before we begin, remember, your support keeps this space alive. Subscribe now, turn on notifications so you never miss a heartbeat, and if you believe in the kind of love that grows under pressure, consider joining our members to support our exclusive work. Ready to discover what truly unfolded in that unforgettable night? Stay close, because on Whispers of Turkish Stars, the glow of truth always finds its way to you. There are nights that split life into before and after, moments that arrive like a soft knock and then linger like a hymn you can't stop humming. For the magnetic Akin, that moment emerged under the strobe lights and suffocating glam of a prestigious awards ceremony in Riyadh. For days afterward, when the fever of applause settled and the city returned to its shimmering calm, Akin stepped forward with words so candid, so bare, that even seasoned reporters froze mid-question. He didn't perform a speech, he let a truth escape that had been growing between sighs and silences. Ebru, ascending the stage with the poise of a queen and the serenity of a poet, didn't just captivate a hall full of luminaries, she reawakened a fire in the man who has studied the world's applause and found it hollow beside her smile. They have long been a mystery that fans love to read between the lines. Two stars whose paths cross, drift, and then spark again with an electricity that refuses to dim. On that Riyadh night, they were more than a success story. They became a moving picture of the soft, invincible thing we call devotion. Let's rewind to the instant that left a hush floating above the room, Ebru stepping into the light. Her dress moved as if stitched from moonlight, her gaze was calm, luminous, infinite. You could feel it, an energy shifting the very air. While photographers battled to capture angles and silhouettes, one gaze found a home and refused to wander. It wasn't a lens, it was Akin's eyes. Anyone watching could sense that his attention had narrowed to a single point, as if everything else had faded to grayscale and only she remained in color. It wasn't the look of a +1 proud to be seen. It was the gaze of a man recognizing, again, the woman who has become his compass. Days later in Istanbul, the inevitable questions arrived, tumbling from microphones and lips like pebbles in a river. What did he feel when he saw her step into that light? Akin's face softened, the edges of his features turning tender, and for a beat he seemed to weigh his words with the care of someone opening a cherished letter. When he finally spoke, it wasn't the language of spectacle. It was the quiet music of certainty. He told the story of a moment, that heartbeat in Riyadh when he understood something simple yet seismic: losing Ebru was not an option he could accept. His voice grew low and intimate, the kind of tone that turns a crowd into a confidant. And that sentiment, once released, flew across timelines, headlines, and hearts like a lantern rising into a starry night. He didn't stop at admiration for her beauty, though the room had bowed to it. He spoke of discipline, the stubborn grace of someone who shows up when no one's watching, the hours that leave red marks on the clock and ink-stained dreams on the pillow. He spoke of Ebru's resiliency, the sincerity that radiates through her craft, the dignity with which she contends with storms. He said he stood there feeling a surge, a pull, a wild clarity that he needed to stand with her strength, not in front of it. The sentence that echoed loudest, reshaped and replayed in countless captions, carried a confession. That night told him, without ceremony, that his place was beside her light. Analysts at Whispers of Turkish Stars read that ceremonial evening is more than a triumph gilded in applause, they saw a turning point. The photographs, the hush on social feeds, the whispers of those who drifted backstage, all told the same story in different dialects, chemistry so palpable it felt like a pulse you could touch. The internet baptized it with a name. They called it the look of pride. Sources murmured that in the soft chaos after the awards, in rooms scented with roses and adrenaline, Akin's words to trusted friends were even more direct. He confided that the honor of standing with Ebru on her path was the greatest privilege his success had afforded him. That night, he said, didn't just mark her career. It stitched new seams in the bond they share, fortifying it against the cold drafts of rumor and distance.
How did Ebru respond to the sudden storm of adoration?
With that delicate mix of shyness and certainty that has disarmed even her critics. Her smile did not flirt with the cameras, it softened toward the person who knew her struggle thread by thread. And if the world insists on reading lips, then the world should also learn how to listen to silence. Because inside that hush, her gratitude shimmered, and the people closest to the stage swear that her eyes glistened with a joy that made the trophy look like a trinket. Now, if you've been with us long enough, you know that Whispers of Turkish Stars lives for the details hidden behind velvet curtains.
What happened before that shining walk to the microphone?
The chatter behind the scenes paints a portrait worth framing. As the room hummed with nerves and perfume, as stylists floated like calm ghosts and assistants checked lists twice, Akin stood near Ebru's dressing area, steady as a lighthouse. He teased away the tension with a grin, kept the small talk light, and when the final cue arrived, he took her hand firmly and looked into her eyes with the gravity of a promise. "You deserve this more than anyone," he told her, not as a charm to steady her steps but as a truth that had been growing in the quiet places. In that grip was friendship and shelter, the soft courage to meet a roaring crowd. When the applause finally ebbed and the exit lights glowed, the scene backstage could have been torn from a film reel.
Witnesses say Akin reached her first, emotion brimming like a tide he tried to swallow.
The hug, longer than etiquette permits, tighter than a simple congratulations, spoke in the language no reporter can misquote. "I'm proud of you," he whispered, and then said it again and again, as if each repetition could write a new line across the future. Those who saw it claimed their bodies leaned together with the kind of familiarity built slowly, with laughter and disagreements, with late-night calls and early flights, with the small brave acts that couples never post but always remember. Later, when the microphones returned, Akin surprised even his admirers by shifting the spotlight back to her work. He spoke of milestones he had watched up close, the way her instincts sharpened, the way her patience deepened, the way her art stopped seeking permission and began offering command. Once, he admitted, he had seen a beautiful woman full of promise. Now, he saw a force of nature who had learned the rhythm of her own thunder. And that is where pride becomes something larger than admiration, it becomes devotion dressed as respect. Insiders say that since Riyadh, the two have guarded pockets of time as if they were rare gemstones. Between shoots and flights, they carved out small sanctuaries, early breakfasts when the city still yawns awake, phone calls from hotel rooms where the view is just another skyline, quiet walks through neighborhoods that do not ask for selfies. Those close to the situation insist that the international attention never rattled him. On the contrary, he cheered it on, clapping the loudest from the wings, unbothered by headlines that occasionally try to pit love against ambition. In an industry haunted by fragile egos, his ease became a fresh breeze that people noticed. If there is a secret here, perhaps it's simple: he isn't competing with her glow, he's warmed by it. And so the rumor mill keeps spinning, feeding the hopeful hunger of those who root for love stories written with patience.
Was his confession a prelude to a bigger promise? Is there a velvet box traveling quietly in a pocket, waiting for the right sunset, the right song? The couple, true to form, say nothing that they don't mean. Silence can be infuriating, but it can also be sacred. Yet the way he emphasized that stepping away from her is not a path he recognizes, the way she answered with a softness that looked like trust, has fueled speculation that the next chapter might be written in rings and vows rather than guesses and winks. Let's pause here, family. I want to ask you something from the heart. Does professional triumph strengthen love, or does it sometimes invite envy to the table? In Akin's case, that win became a mirror reflecting what he already knew. Admiration is not the enemy of affection, it's its echo. Tell me what you think below. Have you ever felt pride so fierce for your partner that you swelled like a tide you couldn't hold back? I'll be reading, as always. Riyadh's glow didn't dim when the stage lights died. If anything, it spread. The interview clips traveled faster than a rumor on a festival night. Fans stitched the moments together. The lingering gaze during her acceptance, the unguarded smile when she returned, the way their shoulders seemed to find each other as if guided by muscle memory. Comment sections, those urban jungles of the internet, turned tender. People posted about the way love survives loud rooms and long schedules. They debated whether romance needs secrecy to stay golden.
They traded favorite moments from projects that brought them into our living rooms, drawing lines between the characters they once played and the people they are now rumored to be. Through it all, one theme kept surfacing: a love story that grows stronger not by hiding, but by holding steady. On the professional side, doors opened, as they often do when the world realizes someone isn't just talented, but inevitable. Yet the two moved carefully, choosing work that demanded honesty over noise. Friends say he recognized that her ascent did not eclipse his path, it illuminated it. And she, they say, respects the way he guards certain corners of his life, not because he's building walls, but because he knows that intimacy survives best under a roof of quiet. There's a lesson tucked inside this glittering tale, and it's bigger than trophies or trending tags. Real love doesn't bargain with success. It cheers, it steadies, it waits at the door with a glass of water when the show is over. Real love keeps the secrets that matter and shares the pride that heals. If we are fortunate, we catch glimpses of it between the questions and the flashes. If we are wise, we learn from it. That evening in Riyadh did not add a new medal to a crowded shelf. It wrote a sentence across two hearts that reads, simply, "Together is the point." And so, beloved friends of Whispers of Turkish Stars, we close this chapter shimmering with applause, devotion, and tears that no camera fully captured. Akin reminded us of something precious: love doesn't dim when one of you shines, it brightens the whole room. And Ebru showed us that triumph tastes sweetest when shared with the one who saw you practicing in the dark. Before you go, tell me in the comments, what's the most romantic gesture you have offered or received? Do you believe these two are the couple of the year, not because the world says so, but because the way they look at each other refuses to lie? If this story brushed your heart, give it a like, subscribe to Whispers of Turkish Stars to keep discovering the warm truths glimmering behind the curtains of show business, and consider joining our membership for exclusive insights. Thank you for being here, for believing that tenderness still has a place in the spotlight, and for being part of our family. Until the next whisper, may your days be filled with the kind of light that never needs permission to shine.